the connection with my ancestors literally is something that guides me every day. And this connection is in the heart. So I connect with my ancestors every day, connect with my father, my grandfather, my grandmothers that have passed, and other of my ancestors that I never met in my life, but they are there with me and they are feeding me with their love and their support for me to unfold in the perfect way that I can unfold. So when you have a hard moment, connect with your ancestors, connect with your grandmother that passed, connect with the people that you shared lots of love with that are still present in the field, and they will help you so you don't feel alone. We are never alone in this journey. And that is also a fallacy of the mind, is to make you think that you're alone. We are never alone. We knew that we had to go there, but we didn't know what we were going to do there. And we chose to trust and to follow the guidance anyway, and to see what was awaiting for us with the curiosity of a child, really treating these places with the sacredness that they deserve and with the intentionality that it requires to be on these sites that have been revered and taken care so much by our ancestors. And now we're bringing back that energy. This is not something that comes from the mind, like you said. This is something that's deeply heartfelt and deeply felt by my whole being. Like it's like these memories are in my DNA, and they're basically just being unlocked as I'm walking this path. After we did that ceremony, I connected with the Merlins, and then they told me that we had to go to the crown chakra of the island and do a ceremony there to re-energize the crown chakra of the island and connect the Russian Abbey, the stone circle, and the crown chakra of the island together. They prepared us into creating that internal alchemy inside of us so we can know what's this energy, so we can understand how the land is also performing that internal alchemy as well.
Greetings and good day. This is The Channeled Truth. I'm your host, Thomas Leihart, and I'm a channeler myself, and I love exploring the works of Seth and Jane Roberts, Abraham Hicks, Bashar, and many other channelers as well. And with us today, we have a very special guest that is no stranger to personal transformation and guiding people on that journey of transformation. He is a holistic leadership coach, and he's got many wonderful projects and is already guiding many people into these levels of transformation where we really open up to more and more of our truest, most natural selves. That's what we love to talk about on this show here. So without further ado, let's bring Jean-François back onto our digital stage. Thanks again for coming.
Thanks for inviting me again, Thomas. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So in our last episode, we began to speak about this amazing journey you went through the United Kingdom and all those areas with Scotland, Ireland, and whatnot, and activating these sacred sites and getting all these incredible downloads at the same time. So let's continue that adventure. I believe your next stop was going to be exploring the Isle of Man and doing some activations there. Just coming out of Brimham Rocks, right? So let's just launch right into that. What kind of adventures did you experience?
Great. Let's dive into this. Yeah, I have to say that this was really powerful part of the journey. We actually knew we were going to go to Isle of Man, and we were advised by the guides that Isle of Man part of the journey was going to be one of the most important part of this whole trip, and that it had to be done at a specific time in our journey prior to go to other places. So we were like, as you can imagine, really curious about how Isle of Man was going to be that fantastic. Or anyway, we were just super curious by this whole experience of Isle of Man because there was a lot of hype brought to us by the guide. So basically, we were on the ferry to go there, and it's a 3 hour 45 minutes boat ride to get to Isle of Man. Super nice ferry, it was super comfortable. We had booked places in the lounge, so we had like reserved seat. It was super comfortable. But then I'm on the ferry and I'm asking myself like, this is great, we're going to Isle of Man, but I still don't know what we're gonna do there. The only thing we knew is that we were gonna go visit that abbey there that's called Russian Abbey. It's a small abbey and south of the Isle of Man, and that we had to perform a ceremony there. That's the only thing that was communicated to me by the Merlins. So I'm on the ferry and I'm like, okay, I got to go into a meditation, and I got to connect with what parts or what entity wants to speak to me about that journey. And you have to know that Isle of Man is really connected to the fairies. There's a big myth around the fairies guarding Isle of Man. And the people who live on Isle of Man, they actually really believe in fairies, and the energy of the fairies. So I was like, okay, let's go in a channeling state and see what's going to come up. And right away, I go into my channeling state, and then I get the contact with the fairies, and they start telling me all about the journey. And I was not expecting 1 inch of what they told me. They started telling me about the flag of Isle of Man, and we'll put a picture right here so you can see what the flag of Isle of Man is all about. It's basically three leg connected with a hub, and three stars at the heel of the 3 foot on the flag. So the fairies are telling me the flag is actually a map of the sacred site on the island, and the three sites are to be visited and have to be a ceremony performed there specifically. And then the middle part, which is a stone circle, had to be visited at the end of visiting the three sites. So that's the only information that we had. But since we knew that we had to go to the Russian Abbey, it was not hard for us to take like that triangle basically and put it over the map of Isle of Man to determine what were the other two sites that we had to go to. So I was like, that's pretty interesting. That was a part of the puzzle that I was not expected to be revealed on that boat ride, but I went along with it. It was so clear, the guidance, as I was channeling. When you are in these channeling state and everything is like crystal clear, there's no ambiguity, there's no distortion on the line. Exactly like, okay, this is it. So I kind of talked to my buddies, my two friends, and said, here's the plan, what we have to do. So we had only 24 hours on Isle of Man. So that's the other thing that we have to mention. It was a crunch in time. Everything had to be done in 24 hours period of time. We had only one night to sleep there. And that was the other thing that was puzzling us. Like, okay, we have 24 hours. So there must be something really important we have to do there, but we only have 24 hours to do it before we go back on the continent and go to Scotland. So we got off the ferry, and right away I was like, okay, let's go to Russian Abbey. That's the first point I had. So let's see. And we go there and it's closed. So
Dang.
we get there. It's kind of a rainy day, and then it's not open, and it only opens the next day. And then I'm like, freaking fairy again, they're playing with us, like they're playing tricks on us, and the fairies are well known to play tricks. So I was laughing. So I told my friends, okay, I'm gonna go into a channeling state and I'm gonna see what's the plan, and then I get in contact with them. They were laughing, of course. And they told me, okay, you have to go to this first site, which is called Tinwald Hill, and the other site, which was a beach. They said, go there first, and then after that, you're going to go to the beach, and then tomorrow you're going to go to Russian Abbey tomorrow morning and perform your ceremony. So we get to the first site, and when we get there, there's basically a big Celtic cross right in the middle of that site, and on this site around the cross there's a church, and there's a hill with a big flag of Isle of Man, and there's another big stone in the back that's basically replicating again the flag of Isle of Man. Like that cross was in the middle, connecting to these three different elements on that site. And basically, we had to perform a ceremony to open a vortex, open a portal of energy on that specific site, and make it spin, and to increase the energy of that site. So that was the first thing. And it was raining, it was windy, it was really like these dramatic scenery of like the Scotland or the UK type of scenery that you see in movies, you know, like raining, lots of wind. So it was pretty a dramatic scene. And like the Celtic Cross, and the Celtic Cross is everywhere in Scotland, when there's a graveyard also connected to the memorial of World War One. So that one was connected to World War One, and you know what's written on it? It's like it's the remembering, you know. And then we took that as a sign of like remembering, putting putting things back together. So we felt that is exactly what we were doing. We were putting things back together, reopening portal, reconnecting, vortex of energy, amplifying these areas. So it can be connected again to the grid of unity consciousness, and that's over the planet, and that's linking many different sacred sites together. So basically we did that, and then we went to the beach after and connected with the vortex there. And the vortex on the beach, which is, if you ever been to Isle of Man, or if you ever go to Isle of Man, there's a big beach there that's super beautiful. It's a big shore, and the tide was low, so we were like really far away, you know, in the where the water would have been. So and that's where we performed the ceremony over there. And that one was a really powerful one. I remember at the end they made us do a meditation to connect Isle of Man to the UK, to send an energy pathway to connect that vortex to the UK itself, to the continent of the UK. And when we were on the first site, they made us connect that vortex to Ireland, which is if you take Isle of Man, and then Ireland is there, England is there, and Scotland is there. So it's basically in the middle of these three countries. And they told me that it serves as a hub, an energetic hub, to connect to the unity consciousness grid and spread that energy to these three countries. So we basically had to connect these three sites together and connect them back to the stone circle, which was the hub on the Isle of Man. That was the first day. So the first day on the Isle of Man, we were like, wow, we're blown away by all of this, and really felt like super grateful and connected to our hearts doing that mission. And again, you know, like we were speaking earlier, me and you, Thomas, it connects to the fact that we knew that we had to go there, but we didn't know what we were going to do there. And we chose to trust and to follow the guidance anyway, and to see what was awaiting for us with the curiosity of a child, basically.
That's amazing. That's what keeps coming back to me as I'm listening to you is your level of trust, your level of being able to go with the flow when your mind doesn't know the plan, but your heart knows and trusts there is a plan, but you don't know the details of it. All you know is that you're going, and that the information will be given to you. Even when it's given to you in a kind of a humorous, playful way, right, where you show up, or, oh, it can't go this way, and it's got to go in a different order, right? And just being willing and able to flow with that, rather than just kind of getting rigid and tensing up. the trust. I mean, I think that's the main takeaway that I'm getting from just listening to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Trusting in the unknown. And again, I know I said it in other episode, but like the only thing we're going to find in the unknown is just more of ourselves.
Absolutely.
And literally, this is what we found is more of ourselves and more of the service we had to perform on that land. This whole trip started with this idea of being of service and opening portals and doing ceremony and celebrating these pieces of land that are so important to maintain this sacred energy on the planet that has been diminished throughout the last hundreds of years. And this is what we're seeing now, the uprising of the sacred energy coming back, emerging from non-indigenous people like me, like you, like other people around the world that are going on these sacred sites and are really treating these places with the sacredness that they deserve and with the intentionality that it requires to be on these sites that have been revered and taken care so much by our ancestors, and now we're bringing back that energy. So for me, I felt like on a service, a duty of my life to do this. And this is not something that comes from the mind, like you said. This is something that's deeply heartfelt and deeply felt by my whole being. Like it's like these memories are in my DNA, and they're basically just being unlocked as I'm walking this path, and I'm seeing just like a few feet in front of me, like the bison in the storm. The bison in the storm is just keep moving forward, but it goes like 1 foot at a time, but it's trusting that this is the right path, and it's not going backwards, it's going forward. And this is I think a really strong metaphor for life. When you're in the unknown, don't go too fast. Just go one step at a time. Just wait until the next clue appears. And if there's no clue, just wait. Just be patient. Just wait for the next thing to appear, because it will appear if you give yourself the space for it to appear, and if you're curious about however it might appear to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just having that level of trust, that knowing that next step is, that next clue, that next hint, that next insight, next inspiration is coming. And also being comfortable with standing still, right? We're in such a go, go, go culture that like, oh, what happens if I stand still? Oh, like I derive my value from my work and I'm not working, so therefore something's wrong, right? Like just getting out of the head and, like you said, dropping into the heart where you feel your value. You have value because you exist. Your heart knows that. Your mind gets convinced to believing it has to prove your worth through the work that you do or accomplishments or whatever. But just resting in the heart and like letting it unfold, like letting those pieces come together. Like, yes, there's action, you're taking those steps, but at the same time, it's like literally reality is crystallizing around you with trust, rather than you trying to orchestrate it with the mind, which the mind is just not designed to control reality. Try as we might, it's just not designed for that. So letting the mind just giving you that accurate picture of what is, but letting the heart be the one that guides you forward, and letting things just click, 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 fall into place, which your journey totally exemplifies that. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So, to go back on the journey, the next morning we woke up and then we went to that Russian abbey, and then we get there, and there's these two ladies at the admission, to make us pay to visit the abbey and be able to go on the land there. And one of them has a pin of a fairy
Nice.
on her shirt, and I'm like, "Is that a pin of a fairy?" And then she's like, "Yeah, it is." And then she's right, like point blank. She's like, "You don't believe in fairies?" And then I started laughing like I'm laughing right now. And I said, of course I believe in fairy. I talk to them every day. And then she started laughing. She thinks I'm teasing her, you know? But I'm not. I'm literally saying the truth.
Nice.
And I think I even said like, that's why we're here.
Right on.
And then you should have seen her face. You know, she was puzzled. You know, like, is this guy like trying to tease me or something?
That was a completely it's like an anachronism, or what, I don't know what the word is, but like you totally took her out of her usual, mind place.
Completely. Yeah, she thought she was gonna throw me off guard or something, and then I get back to her.
It's like in Zen,
Yeah.
there's a name for it in Zen, that's like moment of like you kind of break the continuity of the mind's labeling of everything, and you're just like, wow, you're kind of shocked awake, right?
Yeah, I definitely created a pattern interrupt, like we said in
Exactly. Yeah.
NLP.
Nice, man.
Yeah, so that was really really funny. So we kind of visited the oab, and then we had the mission of like and that's something that really happens to me a lot. Like I was talking about my story at Chichen Itza and my story at Tulum on other episodes. So they made us like circle the old perimeter, the old area of the abbey itself, to give blessings and be in our heart while we are going on that walk, and be really in our heart and in reverence for the space itself, for the land itself, for uh, all the sacred energy that had taken place on that land. And then we performed a ceremony there and gave some offering. And from there, we add the next place, and then we knew that was the stone circle that we had to go to, and that was really special. I will always remember that stone circle that we visited. We got there; it's in the middle of a field, middle of nowhere, and it's in a kind of a valley, so it's super beautiful. And we get there, and there's two people that are basically doing like the weed eater. They're cleaning the long grass, and the grass was like about that long before we got there, like all around the site. And that stone circle also had kind of remnants of houses that were built by the Vikings, the long houses. So like there was grass everywhere, so they were basically finishing their work when we got there. So they were like they cleaned everything before we got there to do the ceremony. So it's just beautiful, so synchronous
Totally.
that these guys are just finishing, literally cleaning that place and removing that grass to put that place in a pristine uh, look, so we can actually go and do the sacred ceremony there. So that was just beautiful. And it was a beautiful day, windy. We did the drumming ceremony there to connect and open the vortex, and connect also the three sides to that specific stone circle, to that specific portal. And then we made it circle as well to amplify it and distribute the energy back to uh, Ireland and England. And after we did that ceremony, I connected with the Merlins, and then they told me that we had to go to the crown chakra of the island and do a ceremony there to re energize the crown chakra of the island and connect the Russian Abbey, the stone circle, and the crown chakra of the island together. So when you look on the map, if you connect the bottom, the Russian Abbey, the stone circle, and then the crown chakra, it's a direct line. And if you connect the other sides together, it creates a sword shape. So that was interesting, because if you look at the tip of the sword, which was the crown chakra of Isle of Man, and then you keep drawing a line up to Scotland, you get into Edinburgh. And in Edinburgh, there's a site called Archer's Seat. So the sword of King Archer from Isle of Man to Edinburgh And when you get, which was the last site we got to, was our church seat in Edinburgh before we finished our journey. When you walk up the hill and you go to the top, there is a piece of concrete there. And at the top of the piece of concrete, there is there's a basically piece of metal that looks like more of a bronze type of thing or copper, and it's basically a hub with 3 branches like the flag of Isle of Man. So I was not expected to see that on the last day, but we knew there was a relationship in between Isle of Man and that specific area related to King Arthur. And then we got like so surprised when we got to Archer's seat and saw that. We were like, okay, there's no coincidence. There's no coincidence. Of course we were gonna see that here. Of course we were gonna see like the confirmation. So it was just magical. And after we finished the journey, I remember we were on the plane back home, and the guides told me, "You're not done with Isle of Man."
Dang.
There is more. So I'm yet to receive some further information about what is there to do with Isle of Man. But basically, the last ceremony we've done at the crown chakra was also to open our crown chakra and open our third eye, and to start feeding our pineal gland with the future vision of our own life and of our own being, opening up our crown chakra to receive information from the heaven, from Father Sky, to guide our own journey, our personal journey, but also the collective journey that we had the 3 of us to go to Scotland to really open up and receive the information that we needed to receive, each of us, but also metaphorically opening the crown chakra of the collective in the world.
No, it's just like I'm taking it all in, and I'm like, I don't know which kind of point to pull out here, but one of the things that jumps out at me is this quality of synchronicity, right? And when we think of synchronicity, most people just think of like, oh, everything comes together, everything unfolds in perfect timing. But there's 2 sides of that, right? There's the side of it where you show up and they just finished cleaning up that sacred site and just in time for you to do the ceremony, right? It's like that kind of flow. But there's the other kind of synchronicity. You show up and like the place is closed. It's not going to open till tomorrow, right? And you're like, oh, it's like Bashar calls it like red light synchronicity, right? It's like it's not the timing for this. That's also synchronicity, but it's just showing you need to go in a different order, a different pattern, move in a different direction, right? Maybe come back to this at another time. That's also synchronicity, but sometimes the mind gets really like, oh no, I hit a wall, there's a blockage, what did I do wrong, right? So then you pull yourself out of that flow, right? But I've, not you, but any one of us, but you specifically, you actually just took it as like humorous, oh, we hit a wall, like they're playing, it's play, like let's just play with this and rearrange. And so then you maintain that momentum of that synchronous flow instead of like derailing yourself, because it's not a blockage, right? Unless you label it a blockage and now you deal with the reality of that. But if you just label it as like, oh, we're just going to flow around this and things are going to rearrange, and that's now you're back, you're in the synchronous flow. You never left it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and there was so many clue. Everything was building on the previous thing. You remember, like if you watch the episode 27, I was talking about the druids that made us do a meditation when we connected our 3 arts together, creating the triangle, creating the sacred trinity, and the portal in between in the middle of the triangle connected to the divine plane. So we get to Isle of Man. It's exactly what we actually done there. We create a triangle, and then we went into the stone circle and connected to the divine plane, and then we were able to open that vortex again. But the as above so below, microcosm macrocosm. So we basically like created that form, that energy together, and then we did that outside of ourselves in Isle of Man.
Nice.
Yeah, so for me it was just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. They prepared us into creating that internal alchemy inside of us, so we can know what's this energy, so we can understand how the land is also performing that internal alchemy as well.
Yeah, it's amazing you say that, because earlier when you were describing your journey, I was literally thinking about internal alchemy in terms of the healing work that I do, the medical qigong and the internal meditations, and then the external healing work, of offering healing treatments, right? So it's all about reconnecting, reintegrating, and just bringing that sense of healing, that integrative healing on a personal level, within self, for another person. And then you're doing that same kind of healing work on the land, right? And it's as within, so without. And these are all different levels of this integration that's happening for all of us collectively on the planet. Even as planetarily we integrate, to extra dimensional, extraterrestrial energies as well, right? That's a bigger integration happening on an even bigger scale, right? And just on these galactic levels, all the way down to the micro within ourselves, doing the healing work within our own energy centers, right? So all these different levels within levels, microcosms within microcosms. It's really amazing when you just start wrapping your mind around that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and when you understand these concepts, you understand how our planet is working, how the planets are working, like how everything is working together, because it's just a mirror.
Yeah. And it's, as within, so without is really, it's profound when you really start to expand into that.
It is really profound. It is really profound. And for me, it's connecting again to, the power of the tree, the sacred trinity, the connection with Mother Earth, our own heart, and Father Sky, how this is always connected together, and how it is always affecting, like we're always affecting the sky as the sky is affecting us. We're always affecting the land as the land is affecting us. This is like super Taoist mentality.
Totally, yeah.
Also, in medical Qigong, was reading the Jerry Allen Johnson medical Qigong book, and I was reading about the influence of the earth and the connection with the heat, with the light, with the sound, and with the electricity and the magnetism. Basically, this is what the sky is creating. This is what the earth is creating. This is what we are creating as being, and we keep on influencing each other.
Absolutely. Again, microcosms within microcosms, like just that firm placement on the earth, ourselves in our own domain as we experience ourselves to be as individuated beings, and then part of this galactic dance of the heavenly bodies, right? I love that the Taoist meditations, they really take you into, the earth, the self, and the heavens in so many ways.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful, uh, because when you are able to experience such state, you know that there is an intelligence that's at play. There's an energy that's at play, and for me, it's helping me to let go of control. It's helping me to let go of the control of the mind, and to trust that life has my back, and to trust the inner guidance that is coming from my heart, which is the unifying instrument inside of herself to get out of duality.
Absolutely. I love that you brought that in, because, it just comes back to that message of trusting the flow, because the field is intelligent, right? It's not just this separate mind that we have that feels separate and therefore it must control everything, right? It's relaxing the control, dropping into the heart, and then trusting the intelligence, which is already, that's the control that's already there, existing at all these different levels. So there's no need to force our mind's interpretation of what we think needs to happen on this intelligent field that's already working out for us, right, and supports us, right, because we exist we're a part of existence, and therefore we're supported by existence, right? And we have a place within existence. So what can the heart tell us that our place is within? What's our unique note to play in this grand symphony, right? Because we already are going to fit in when we hone that note, right? And we don't have to orchestrate the fitting in. All we have to do is just refine that frequency, refine who we are, coming more and more into that center of who we truly are, so we can then very easily naturally fit in to the world. And that's when things click, things just fall into place and unfold. And also, right, coming back to synchronicity, if we do get a little bit off timing or whatnot, then we see the red light synchronicity, right? There's the wall. It's like, oh, it's time to flow in a different direction, right? And just letting the mind relax into that instead of labeling it as, oh, something went wrong, right? But just to resume in that flow. So man, thank you so much for sharing all that. Is there any final thing you want to say about kind of a culminating insight of this grand journey that you want to add?
Yeah. And it's on what you just mentioned, like I like you said the note, we're all here to play a symphony. We're all here like a musical instrument to play with the big symphony of human beings, but also of life. And this note lives in our heart and in our bodies. And the more people can actually activate that art energy, like the Heart Math Institute done a study, when you're just breathing on the same rhythm and focusing on your heart, and like in a few seconds and a few minutes, the brain waves are going to get in sync with the heartbeat and get this harmonious state going inside of herself. So if the heart was not the gateway, this would not happen. This is a proof that the heart is the gateway for internal harmony, but also to create external harmony, and also opening the doorway to remember who we are and to let ourselves be revealed to ourselves by using the synchronicity like you've been speaking. And when you are in a situation where you are not expecting what happened, and then there's negative emotions that are being triggered inside of you, know that this is just a test. This is just another test. Are you gonna go inside and relax and calm yourself and ask yourself, what do you need to understand from this situation? Or are you gonna react again and go from your automatic pilot and raging against somebody else, or raging against yourself, and then losing the whole understanding of why this specific thing happened in your life? You lost the wisdom of it when you do that. So it's going to present again itself, so you can get the wisdom out of it. And it took me a really long time to understand that. But now, with everything that happened the last few months for me, being guided on that journey with such a higher power that was at play, and a lot of connection with my ancestors. And that's the last thing I would like to leave people. The connection with my ancestors literally is something that guides me every day. And this connection is in the heart. So I connect with my ancestors every day, connect with my father, my grandfather, my grandmothers that have passed, and other of my ancestors that I never met in my life, but they are there with me, and they are feeding me with their love and their support for me to unfold in the perfect way that I can unfold. So when you have a hard moment, connect with your ancestors, connect with your grandmother that passed, connect with the people that you shared lots of love with, that are still present in the field, and they will help you so you don't feel alone. We are never alone in this journey. And that is also a fallacy of the mind, is to make you think that you're alone. We are never alone.
That's beautiful. That's amazing. I love that. Just connecting to the intelligence of that field, and just trusting, right? Myself, I feel that sense of guidance more and more increasing, every day, every month, every year. It just gets stronger that you're guided, right? You don't have to figure it all out with the mind. You don't have to force
Exactly.
things to happen. You can relax into the intelligence of the field, whether it's ancestors, whether it's guides, whether it's,
Yeah.
other aspect selves coming through, your future self guiding you, all of it, right? It's all there, and it's all there for you to open your heart and receive that guidance, because you're never alone, right? We're never alone. So Jean-François, thank you so much for concluding the journey with us, and may there be many more journeys for you, exploring more of yourself and more of your service to the world through these journeys. So we'll definitely do this again, and we'll find other ways to play together. But for now, everyone who's listening out there, thank you so much for joining us in this exploration of consciousness. You're a vital part of this journey as well. And we're all doing this together, right? So that's why we do these shows, is to create and build on this community and the momentum of this, being in the field and helping, each one teach one. We all vibrate, and the vibrations bounce off the next one and the next one, and everything collectively shifts together. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you in the next episode.